Welcome to week 3 of the GBA. We got our first away game this week, going up to Boston to play the Red Sox, who were managed by a longtime buddy of some 6 years, Superblaw, so hoping for a clean game. Let's take a look at his team here. We got Aegislash, thundurus-t, Hariyama, Reuniclus, Diggersby, and Tangrowth. First we'll go over the guys who we didn't bring, who are sitting on the bench. First off is Mega Alakazam. He's got a lot of priority. You can see on the entire left column there, those are all priority users. On top of that, there's Deoxys Speed, who he didn't bring. So not bringing Mega Alakazam. Magneton and Gothitelle, kind of the same story there. There's no one I really want to trap. You cannot trap Aegislash since he is part Ghost type, and that was one of the guys that I might have wanted Magneton to trap. With Whimsicott, Seed's not going to be that effective. He's got Tangrowth who's immune to it, and Reuniclus is also immune to all effect damage. And as far as stuff like Moonblast on Hariyama, we don't get Prankster on that, and he gets that nice Bullet Punch, which is going to be super effective, potentially boosted by Guts as well. So not bringing Whimsicott. Suicune, probably the one who was closest to making it on the squad this week, but he's got a couple of huge power guys, including Mega Mawile, who you don't see, and also thundurus-t can nasty plot up and just break down through some Calm Minds, so not really thinking too highly on that. But here's the 6 we did bring, so once again, as usual, Subroost Zapdos. We're going to be trying out some different Zapdos sets in the future, but for this week I wanted to go ahead and keep with Subroost. This surge in Heat Wave this time, though. Heat Waves should be pretty decent. It's going to be super effective to Mega Mawile, Aegislash, as well as Tangrowth, despite it having Assault Vest, So hopefully you can get some decent damage off on that. Chansey's similar set to last week, but switching out T-Wave for Sing, due to Volt Absorb and Diggersby being immune to it. I felt like Chansey can kind of be setup fodder, so Toxic's not going to help it not be setup fodder, really. So, and also there's actually he has like 3 Steel types plus Hariyama, who's probably going to carry or potentially carry Guts anyway, so I figured Sing would be an interesting curveball to prevent me getting set up on, so that's what we went with. Steelix making his first appearance here, just going for some Sheer Force Slide Quake to get some extra damage on there, and I went with Toxic on him. I wanted Toxic somewhere on here, and I figured the 2 things I really want Toxic the most are Melodic and Tangrowth, and those things are most likely to switch into Steelix more than anyone else, so I thought that would be a good move to throw on him. Gallade, wanted some kind of boosting move. I decided to go with Swords Dance. Knew I wanted Knock Off in close combat just for being able to give the most damage possible. That's sort of one of the weak points of our team, is that we don't have a lot of super big heavy hitters. And Gallade, fast enough to outspeed walls and punch holes in them. And then also packing Shadow Sneak. There's a lot of priority on this team, and the main reason for that was Deoxys Speed, which of course ended up not being brought, so good job to him for reading that I might want to bring a lot of priority. And speaking of priority, our next guy is Technician Hitmontop. Just was, Fake Out, Mach Punch, that sort of thing. Thief just for some mostly unresisted coverage. Doesn't have Heracross or Frog Thing. Glenn, Toxicroak. Also packing Rapid Spin there. And then Cloyster, I decided to go with a utility set this week. Just with some, got some Ice Shard, of course, for additional priority, but mostly there for spikes, and actually a secondary source of Rapid Spin. As you can see, though, he brought no hazards whatsoever. I was definitely fearing some stuff with Smeargle, Deoxys Speed, good at setting up hazards, so, he didn't bring either one of them, so that's immediately advantage him, as we've got 2 wasted move slots on our guys, so let's see how this plays out. Alright, so this video's gone poorly. I just apologize, guys, because, yeah, the raw file I had, it kept freezing at some point. I had to run it through. I've been having to run through video files about like 3 different editors or something, so yeah, the OBS has apparently been updated and it's garbage for me trying to record with it right now, so I'm gonna have to find some sort of alternate recording thing. But for now, I guess all I can really do to get this video up today is to verse record it, which many of you may know I kind of loathe verse recording stuff. But we're going to go ahead and get on with it anyway, and hopefully it won't end up to be terrible. So, despite him not having Smeargle, I decided to stick with the plan and lead out with Hitmontop. The point was to fake out Mach Punch and make sure that lead Smeargle didn't do anything nasty to me. But instead he leads out with Tangrowth, and I guess it's okay to fake this thing out. If Aegislash wants to come in, we can kind of go from there. And, we'll get a little bit of piddly damage off on it. Of course, Regenerator's going to take care of that, no problem. And what it will let me do, though, is get some information on his set, which is whether or not he has leftovers, which we saw no leftovers, so Assault Vest is definitely what we're going to be thinking on doing. And therefore, Zapdos is not who we're going to go to. We're going to go into Steelix and try to get a Toxic on there as he knocks off my leftovers. And he is going to be special, of course. Knockoff doesn't really count for being mixed. So I was kind of hoping he would be full physical, but Steelix takes a big hit, but he's able to get that Toxic on there. And landing Toxic on this thing and Melodic were the main 2 things I wanted Steelix to do. So he's kind of already done his job. So now we're going to get out to Zapdos, and I hope he continues to go for Grass Knot and go for the kill, since of course Knockoff's not going to get the job done. There's not really anything I want to stand and go for with Steelix, so we just send in Zapdos, and he predicts that nicely and gets Knockoff on Zapdos, which gets rid of my leftovers, which means I can no longer play the sub game quite as well. So, we can Heat Wave here. We still haven't 100% confirmed that he's Assault Vest or not, but this Heat Wave damage will let us confirm that. And based on how much that did, which was looks like under half, I'm pretty sure that is indeed Assault Vest. He packs Hidden Power, which I'm going to assume to be Ice. Suppose it could be Rock. But it doesn't hurt that much. We're still above half. And after that Toxic damage, it looks like another bout of Toxic will be able to take him out. So we're just going to Roost and see what he wants to do. Hopefully he doesn't pack Earthquake or something to get me back, down below half. But he's just going to Grass Knot, expecting the Roost. And it's going to do some decent damage here. I'm going to only gain about maybe 40-ish hit points out of that Roost. But I'm at a decent spot, so anyway, he's going to go down to Toxic. So that's pretty good. Nice. We got his wall down. And, yeah, for once in the season, first blood to us. So, sends out Diggersby, which thankfully is shiny, so I'm not over here regurgitating. And, the return is not going to be enjoyed, so I'm just going to go into Steelix here, partly as fodder, partly to, scout and see some stuff. And, he goes for return first, so I'm going to be able to live that comfortably, of course. And, if he's, choiced onto return, that would be great, but he is not. So, at least that lets us confirm that he's neither banded nor scarfed, and that's good information to have. So Steelix goes down, but he kind of did his job, and he gave us some information about Diggersby. So good job, Steelix. You really did about all I really wanted you to do. So in comes this thing to threaten stuff, but even though it's a support set. So we're just going to go straight for Icicle Spear. However, it'd be nice to set up spikes, but I don't want to mess around with Diggersby at all. So instead he goes into Aegislash to take Icicle Spear. Perfectly fine, and there's not really anything I can do about Aegislash with Cloyster, so we're just gonna scamper out. We get one crit on there, which gets a little bit of damage, but we see leftovers, so, and also that did considerable amounts of damage, or not considerable amounts of damage, so it's probably some sort of a bulky set, as we're about to see. Just go into Falzer to, get some heat waves going on and take hits relatively well. Sets up a sub, so, sub and leftovers, yeah, it's most likely going to be a bulky Aegislash in some form or fashion. But we're just going to stay in and go for heat waves and break subs. We're going to break this sub, and then he's probably going to hit me with a Shadow Ball, and then hopefully we can heat wave it and possibly take it out, because he'll be in Blade form unless he King Shields first. So, which of course would give him more leftovers and whatnot. So anyway, here comes a Shadow Ball, I think, and it's gonna do some damage. Up here comes Shadow Ball, and does 143, does about 100 points, but it gets the special defense drop. So that means I can't really go around predicting him to King Shield, and I want to go for Roost. So I'm just gonna go for Heat Wave here. I kind of have to. If he King Shields, then I guess so be it. But anyway. Drops in Reuniclus, which is going to take Heat Wave pretty fine. It's actually considered a decent amount of damage, in my opinion. We see no lefty, so it's most likely Life Orb. And in comes Blissey, or yeah, I'm probably going to call it Blissey a lot of the time, just out of habit. But anyway, starts Calm Minding up, and I quickly run a calc and see if I can be 2-hit KO'd by this, and it looks like I'm going to be 3-hit KO'd by a +1 Psyshock, which is what I'll expect since that's the most damaging thing. So I'm going to take this time to make sure we get rocks up first, to make sure that happens. And here in comes a Psyshock, boosted by Life Orb most likely. And Chansey's able to take it pretty well. Go for Sing, which we outspeed. Unfortunately, we missed the first one, and we have to eat another Psyshock. But we are able to eat that second Psyshock, and that's why I decided it was okay to use the turn to set up rocks. Also, I wanted to make sure we set up rocks and then Sing, because as soon as we get this Sing, which does land now, I want to jet out immediately to Gallade, because we need a relatively long sleep. This thing's going to be definitely really bulky and hard to kill, especially with Calm Mind. And so we need to get this thing down. It's going to be the toughest thing to kill, definitely. So in comes Gallade, and I could either knock off. I thought about this move for a long time in real time, but unfortunately you guys don't get to see it. I'm going to knock off here, and gets rid of his Life Orb, which means we're going to take less damage. He actually wakes up and goes for Recover there, which I don't know if he would have done if I had. Well, I guess he put it in at the time I Swords Dance. Anyway, I didn't want to Swords Dance there, have him wake up. I believe it was a 25% chance to kill with the +1 Psyshock. I'm not sure. I'd have to I think that is the case though, as since then it would have been boosted by Life Orb, and as you can see, it did considerable damage even without Life Orb. So unfortunately, because I already knocked off the Life Orb, that means this knockoff is not going to be super powerful, and he is going to live with a sliver of health. So you know, Gallade, if I had gone for Sword Stance on the first turn, then that would have been nice, as then we would have had the 75 base power knockoff to kill him with. But at the same time, it was a risk because I think he could have potentially just one-shotted me, and then he would have a full HP or close to full HP Reuniclus. So fortunately, though, everything left on the team has outspeeds it, and it has a damaging move. So Reuniclus is not going to be able to do anything, and he just rightly just sacks it off. And in comes Hariyama. So we don't have anything too devastating to pit this thing with, so we're just going to switch out from Hitmontop as he picks up the kill on Reuniclus and then immediately jets out. Going to go into Zapdos and see what it wants to do. It wants to go for a knockoff of its own, since Zapdos, of course, has no item, so it's going to be able to live that, albeit barely. But now he's got his Toxic Orb up, and he's going to have Bullet Punch, which is going to be able to take out Zapdos. And yeah, we just get a we get a free drop in here, and this thing is definitely a big threat, that's for sure. Fortunately, it's Guts and not Thick Fat, so, or at least presumably it's Guts. So we're gonna send in Medi here, and it's actually a speed tie. So, and I did put a couple speed EVs in. So, however, he looks like he's got some considerable speed investments, as he's able to just knock off and kill it. I figured if I could get sacrifice Medi for a seismic toss, that would be pretty okay. Then maybe Cloyster can come in and be able to finish it off with Icicle Spear. So instead, Top Man comes in, and he withdraws. I'm not quite sure why. I think he potentially could have just killed me with close combat there. But anyway, Aegislash comes in, as I just again wanted to get some kind of damage on there with I believe that's right, I wanted to go for Fake Out there to stall out some turns of Toxic. That was or to get more damage on there with Toxic. That was the goal with that. So anyway, Aegislash of course blocks that, and thought about this move for a while. I'm sad that I can't elaborate on it, but anyway, I was aware he would most likely King Shield, but I figured I'm gonna need a crit anyway, I feel like, so I'll just go ahead and take the -2, and then I'm just gonna get a crit on the next turn. That's just the thing that I'm gonna plan for to happen. And so we Thief, and -2 stages, and lo and behold, we get a crit, and he tries to set up a sub and fails. So good job, Top Man. I just thought that was so funny that I planned and expected to get that crit, and then there it is, I got that crit. So anyway, just gonna finish this thing off with Thief, and hey, we probably could have been swept out there by Hariyama, and it would have been a 4-0. So at the very least here, even though it's not looking too likely we're gonna be able to come back, at least we're shaving off some differential, which is going to be nice. So Thundurus-t comes into Stealth Rock, and we're at full HP, so we're going to be able to live T-Bolt pretty fine. And we're just going to go for Thief, because that's going to be the strongest thing. Unfortunately, I am at -2, so that was sort of the downfall of that, I suppose. But I mean, the alternate there was I go for, all my other moves are ineffective to Aegislash. So anyway, we get some damage off on Thundurus-t with a Thief and a Mach Punch. And yeah, if we hadn't been intimidated, that probably would have killed, which would have been nice. But or intimidate, well, double intimidate, I suppose. King Shield hit, But anyway, that was the move I made, so that was the move that was. So anyway, dropping Cold Man here, and he's also Life Orb on top of that. So Ice Shard's definitely going to be able to pick up the kill, and there we go. He's just got 2 guys left. Diggersby, who we can definitely take a hit from full HP, and is going to be weak to Icicle Spear. And this thing, which is going to take Stealth Rock. And I don't know, maybe we can kill it, but it actually ends up that he ran a considerable amount of speed, and I'm just max bulk, so he's actually just going to outspeed and kill me with close combat. So it might have actually been interesting there if I ran max speed, as then I would have outsped him, and he had no bulk, so maybe I could have gotten the kill there. I believe he said his Diggersby was Yacht Berries, but we later found out that Yacht Berry only works on the first hit, so Diggersby still would have died. That would have made it an interesting comeback, but then again, it would have been a comeback set up by a crit, and I would have felt pretty bad about that, especially against a longtime buddy like Blah. So anyway, sorry this game had to be verse recorded and kind of crappy narration. I'm going to try to fix things certainly for next week. So of course we're 0-3 at -9, but the silver lining to that is that all 3 of these losses have been against people from outside the conference, and that means that even though we've lost, we haven't been helping out people who we're competing with to make the playoffs. So if you're going to lose 3 games, you'd probably prefer to lose them against non-conference opponents. So that's the silver lining to this, but you know, we're just going to keep bringing the best team we think is best each week, and we're going to keep trucking on from there. So see you guys for next week. We're playing the Chicago Grand Bulls. We actually play them twice. You know, we don't play any of these three guys again, so I guess there's not too much reason to mope and complain and figure out what we did wrong too much, just to some extent. But next week's definitely a big game. We're going to play the Grand Bulls twice. We play them again later in the season. So, you know, we'd like to start things off with a win and, you know, hopefully get the second win later. But we'll see. It should be an interesting game. There's going to be some weather involved, so we'll see what we can do. Maybe get some new guys involved. Maybe get some old guys involved. We'll see. See you guys for that one. Later days.